there. Such drive for inspiration. And long with the idea of living long enough to simply write about it, pushing out my body and watching my son slowly grow into it. You said you want a poem. Now what you gonna do?
I'm currently at the African American Museum in DC. I just wanted to show some of the stuff they have in here.
Yeah, you gonna tell them a real truth.
There's a lot of stuff in this museum, but because of time, I wouldn't be able to get you a whole bunch of stuff.
And you will always put them here. It ain't done.
No, Albie, this is the African American Museum of History and Culture in the U.S. It's in D.C., Washington, D.C.
Mike, shoot.
This is the Gullah Geechee portion of it. As you can see, the Gullah Geechee trace their roots to the rice-growing area of West Africa. They were brought as captives of Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia to the Atlantic coast from Cape Fear, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. They built the region and made it an economic and cultural powerhouse because they were isolated, living and working on coastal plantations. Much of their culture, including the language, continues today. The Gullah Geechee is a very important part of African and African American history. They don't tell you a whole bunch of them. It's not just the Gullah Geechee, it's a whole bunch. Right here, they tell you the story, the power of storytelling. You know, language, the power of words, rapping, preaching, testifying, storytelling, signifying, playing the dozens. If you know, our culture is all embedded here in the US as well. So these were part of the Gullah Geechee. The Gullah Geechee, right? They come from West Africa, right here. You can see Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, right? Then they were moved here to parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. They're all over the place. And you can see the origin of the Gullah Geechee, right? The Wolof people, the Congo people, the Ibibio and Efik. Efik people are in Cameroon, so, and the Bibio as well. The Ewe, not the Ewe, it's actually Ewe. They're supposed to correct this thing. It's Ewe, not Ewe. Ubundu, Kimbundu, Wolof, Yoruba, Ewe again. The Ewe are from the Yoruba people. Hausa, Yoruba, and Chi, which is the Akan people in Ghana and Ivory Coast. Bambara, Malinke people, Wolof, Arabic. So in the Gullah Geechee language, they have all these words in there, right? The Benin word, Ewe, which is, they have the word Dan. Dan. Dan means so many things. It means mother, it means snake as well. And then you have words like Jiga, right? Which means insect and all that. And then they have religious words. You see Juju right here, which means magic or an evil spirit. But juju actually doesn't mean evil spirit. This is all, it's a wrong interpretation they gave to this word here. Yeah, Abi, it's a museum. It's our museum, you know, African American Museum of History and Culture. So that's where I am right now. I wanted to document this, you know, because I've been trying to document some of these things on Facebook so people will be will know. So you're asking, wait, there's a difference between ewe and ewe. So the word ewe, the EWE, is not ewe, it's actually ewe, right? So when the Germans and the French came into the Volta region, right, they don't have a vowel for that word, the v part of it. They don't have a vowel. They don't have an alphabet. Like they can't spell it. So instead of saying ever, right, they started writing it EWE. The Germans were the ones that documented that. Instead of saying ever, right, which is the original name of the people of the Volta region, you know, Uti regions, even all the way to part of northern Ghana, right? Because the Voltarians are not just people that in the Volta region. Some are in Uti, and Voltarians they are all over West Africa. It's from Liberia, Gambia, Senegal. I can show you various tribes that are actually from the bigger Ewe group, all the way to Cameroon, Gabon. If you go there, Nigeria, you know, Benin, Togo, Ghana, Ivory Coast, they are all over the place. Gabon, there's a huge concentration of Ewe people in Gabon. So the word is Ewe, right? Not Ewe. And another misconception, or what we call misnomer, is people refer to all Ewes as Anglo. No. Just like saying Akans, right? Akans, you have Ashanti, you have Kweu, you have Fanti, you have Kwapem, etc. You know, so if you refer to all Akans as Ashanti, it's wrong. So that's why we need to know some of these things. So all Ewes are not Anglos. Anglos are just one out of the many, you know, groupings in the Ewe society. You know, I've posted about this before, but maybe some of you didn't catch it. So this is just one of the, you know, the stands that I'm currently at. There's a huge trove of information that I have to, and places that I have to cover, but because of time, there's a portion of it where I have to go, the slavery portion, right? But they don't have the slavery portion. They don't have service down there because it's in like underground. So otherwise, because that's the most important part I wanted to bring. But I'm not too sure if they have internet there. You know, I've been here so many times. This is like the 4th or 5th time. There's a lot of history here. Those of you who know Madam C.J. Walker, right? She was the first to have hair products and, you know, so-called bleaching creams and all that. As you can see, it tells you skin deep, the politics of color. All right. As Europeans colonized large portions of Asia and Africa, they introduced a myth, right? It's a myth. It's still a myth of racial superiority that had global reach. They set ideal standards of beauty: white skin, thin noses, and straight hair. Most African Americans didn't meet these standards, right? In Africa, they did the same to us. Here as well, they did the same thing. As a result, many black people experience an ongoing tension between self-acceptance, rejecting the ideal beauty standard, and still desiring to blend into the dominant culture, right? Our people still today going around bleaching themselves, trying to look like, you know, so-called myth. Very important here, right? Introduce a myth of racial superiority. If you know anything about melanin, you understand why this is, that whole portion of you have to look a certain way, right? That the Europeans introduced is a myth. colorism again, right? That to live a life of white privilege, some African Americans who were light enough passed as white. Others used bleaching creams. Many organizations, including sororities, schools, and even churches right here, use skin tone, right, to limit membership. This is something I didn't even know, right? The fact that churches even use skin tone to limit membership. So if you are too dark skinned, right, for many dark skinned African Americans, colorism has engendered both painful discrimination and self-hatred. Others found ways to reject and stand up against it. I don't want to dwell on this too much because I have a lot to cover today, right? These are some of the concepts they introduce. So it tells you my skin is darker than this paper bag, which is this bag right here, right? And then my skin is lighter than this paper bag. This whole colorism thing. And we still do it today, actually. We still do it, you know? And you can see right here, James Brown used to sing about this. Say it loud, I'm black and proud, right? It became a national anthem at a point in time for expanding the Black Power movement. The movement aimed to make African heritage something to learn about and celebrate. Pay attention to this, though. The Black Power movement became, right, it was aimed at making African heritage, right, the heritage, African heritage, something to learn about and celebrate. And that's why you see me posting about this stuff all the time, right, on Facebook. Some of you still do not understand, you know, what we are dealing with here. Today, the entertainment and beauty industry still privilege lighter over darker skin tones, which is a fact. Even in Ghana, it's happening, making color an essential part of identity. When celebrities like Michael Jackson and Sammy Sosa allegedly bleached their skin, they angered some African Americans and reignited debates about skin colors in America. There's so much information, you know, to cover. 2 days ago, I posted about the Afro. The Afro, you know, bring back the Afro, right? So you see the Afro pick. So the Afro pick or comb dates back as far back as 3,500 BC, before Christ, right? Before Christ, when African people used it to groom their natural hair into many elaborate styles. In the 1960s, right? In the 1960s and 70s, the Afro and Afro pick were symbolic. African Americans affirmed their blackness and rejected white standards of beauty like straight hair. You know, these are also some artifacts from image. There's a section of image, style, you know, and identity. For over 2 centuries, which is 200 years, right? Black Americans lived in a world that saw their skin, hair, and other physical features as ugly. African American styles have imitated white beauty standards, woven in black cultural values, rejected white standards entirely, and celebrated diverse African American images. African Americans helped redefine American beauty. So it's showing you some of the magazines here. Natural hair care products. And over here, we have this is the music section, the music portion of, you know. The story of African American music begins in Africa. They'll never tell you this, right? The story of African American music begins in Africa. Enslaved Africans from across the continent brought with them a wide array of cultural traditions and performance practices. These musical traditions summon the values, languages, and experiences of their creators, and the convergence of these traditions in America has brought forth a new form of musical expression amid the drastic changes of surroundings and circumstances, right? By preserving their musical traditions, styles, and techniques, enslaved Africans created a template of unique sounds that redefined the basis of American music. So every music you see, right, from hip hop, from jazz, from roots, whatever it is, it's all started in Africa. All of it started in Africa. And they're telling you right here. You saw it earlier, right? This is the blues and the country music section of it. You know, they're showing you some of the stuff regarding how music started, right? The legacy of the jumbo in America. This is another musical instrument they call the jumbo. Then they're telling you the history of blues, right? Blues right here. The blues is the most influential music of the 20th century, characterized by improvisation and 12-bar chord progressions. The blues is central to the structure, sound, and inception of most American popular music. It is the soundtrack of Jim Crow America, right? Jim Crow is another period where there was a lot of discrimination, narrating the ups and downs of life and the experiences of African Americans living in segregated communities, right? So they're telling you how the blues started, and they're showing you origins of all this music: folk music, blues music, country music. All started with black people. All of it started with black people. This is the Jackson 5, right? The Jackson 5 in performance 1971. And this is the clothing they had on. And then Janet Jackson right here. So rhythm and blues and souls, all of it. Soul music. So how soul music started, right? We're telling you how soul music started. Soul music emerged from the artistic groundwork of gospel and rhythm and blues, right? All started with us. This was the shoes one of the pioneers of blues, the blues music was wearing, right? I'm not too sure if it's James Brown. I can't see it here. And then you have Ray Charles Robinson, you know, and then James Brown, Aretha Franklin, all of them contributed to soul music. They started soul music, right? So it's a whole bunch of stuff to learn here. Whole bunch of music, black music, you know, names. Busta Rhymes, this is a popular name here. Busta Rhymes, Mariah Carey, Regina Carter, you know, Ray Charles, the Cadillacs, Mary J. Blige, Anthony Braxton, Booker T, a whole bunch of them. Boys Choir from Harlem, Arrested Development, you know, a whole bunch of artists. Erykah Badu, A Tribe Called Quest, right? Erykah Badu is up there, and then A Tribe Called Quest. David Baker, 50 Cent, Fifth Dimension, Beyonce, a whole bunch of, you know, Joe Biden right here, of people that created music. Right here, how rock and roll started, right? In the 1950s, when it started with African Americans, right here. And these were some of the instruments they were playing at the time. So over here, we're talking about James Brown, Sly Stone, and George Clinton again. How funk music started, right? 1970s. You can see James Brown up there, you know, playing one of his songs. Oh, sorry, I'm on live, so sorry. Here, they're telling you about how go-go music started, right? Go-go music. It's very popular around this area, around the DMV area, DC, Virginia, Maryland. You know, very popular music called go-go. And then they're telling you how go-go started. They use the word Juju House, right? Gift of William Juju House. Using drums. And you know where the drums come from? Africa, of course. You know. And then hip hop and rap. How hip hop started as well. KRS-One. I was posting about him few days ago when he was celebrating his birthday. So hip hop started from the Bronx in New York. That's KRS-One right there. So women in hip hop. You see MC Light. That was the first shoes she wore to perform. Right there. And then they tell you how, you know, hypersexuality, hypermasculinity, sexual promiscuity, and misogyny regarding hip hop. You know. And up there they have Queen Latifah, MC Light as well. And then Missy Elliott up there is Missy Elliott, The Brat, Lil Kim, and Aaliyah. All of them were part of the origins of hip hop. So you can hear some of the songs, you know, way back in the day being played on the screen. Up here you have MC Hammer and Outkast.
Yeah, okay.
Again, showing you some of the innovators of hip hop. You can see Outkast right there. Right there. James Brown again up here. Pop music as well, you know, showing you how pop music started. Again, the drums up there, the drums, very important. And you know where the drums come from, Africa, of course. So they're showing you basically that almost every music on the planet was started by black people. Up there you see Michael Jackson all the way in the top hand left corner. Roland Hayes as well. You can hear in the background they're playing one of those hip-hop old songs. You know? Music is experience consciously transformed. Oli was one of the old pioneers of jazz. Again, Charlie Parker in the 1940s. That's the saxophone he was playing right here. And then William Foster, you know, when he was performing. And this is the outfit they were wearing. I have a lot to show, but I don't have time. That's the issue. I have a lot to show, but I don't have time. And I also don't have how do you call it? There are certain portions of it where I'm not going to get internet. You know, this is Aretha Franklin performing. And then in this section they show you how, you know, gospel, even gospel, you know, how gospel was being sung. Aretha Franklin singing The Amazing Grace, which is a racist song, by the way. A lot of people they don't even know that. You know, gospel spirituals, modern day gospel. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Whole bunch of stuff to show, but I don't have time. I don't have time to show you everything. So here it's some 20th century composers, you know, of our music. Music nationalism, right? In the late 1800s, a nationalistic school of music began in the United States. It called for a school of composition that drew upon musical ideas that were native to this country, such as spirituals and other folk songs. Schools of learning and creativity, right? A whole bunch of them started in historically black colleges and universities, what they call HBCUs, here in the US. Right? Origins of classical music, again. Our people are everywhere. They started all this music. All of it. All this music. Up here, let's see, what do we have here? Again, we have
DJs hang out, bands get down, potential levels, 3 beats. And so the role of producing, dancing, the producer.
some few awards, you know, won by Diamond Awards, you know, that's the name. Won by Asha Raymond. You know, some of you already know who Asha Raymond is. And then this award was in 2005, where Asha Raymond joined James Brown in performance at the Grammy Awards. These are some of the instruments, you know, music recording. Stevie Wonder, you know, James Blunt, all these people. They're all up here. So if you come up here in this museum specifically, you're gonna find out more about. Excuse me, man. Sorry. You're gonna find out more about music, slavery, history. Right, I already told you I can't get to the slavery portion of it because they don't have service. I've been there a few times before, but they never had service, so I don't know if this time they might actually have service. I wanted to show you one more thing before I leave this floor to another one. So this sculpture, right? It's a Nigerian sculpture by Oluwe of Ise, 1873, and he died. He was born in 1873 and he died in 1938. And it's a Yoruba, right? It's a Yoruba sculpture. It tells you what it's all about. It says that Yoruba artists 20th century, Oluwa crafted doors, veranda posts, containers, figures that combine technical skill with his distinction style. Yoruba kings commission his work for their homes. This veranda post features, there's a priest, right? A Vodun, a Yoruba priest, or Orisha priest, basically. And it says that when the slave trade happened, we lost some of these important links, right? As Africans, as African Americans, as Jamaicans, you know. So this is a sculpture showing a Yoruba Orisha priest, right? And in those days, you know, the priest was also the same as the king. Right? The Europeans were the ones that deposed our priests and separated and created two positions and made it chief, and, you know, demoted our kings to chief. position of chief, because they created a parallel how do you call it, a parallel hierarchy. So they appointed the chiefs, and then the chiefs will rival our priests. But originally our priests have always been the kings. You know, we need to go back to our history and learn some of these things. So I'm done on this floor. I'm going to see if I can get to another section. No, I think I have one more section on this floor to do. This section is just pure art, you know, arts, paintings, just paintings, you know. These are, you already know what this flag is. Okay, so these are all paintings. Let me see what this painting is about. Okay, so all of my work, this is from Stephen Towns, right? And his work is all about issues such as loss of ancestral roots, which our people are totally lost with. Because so this is not just African Americans being lost, you know, with their history, right? Africans are also equally lost, right, with their ancestral roots, with slavery, right? Some of you have never even been to Cape Coast Castle or Elmina Castle. Meanwhile, you live in Ghana, but you have no idea what slavery is all about, right? The class, the education, the skin tone, religion. This is all part of our culture that this guy, Stephen Towns, is trying to represent in his art. You know? So this is basically art. It's the area where I'm currently is all art.
I want you type shit.
It's all art. That's one of the, you know, arts. I don't even know who this person is.
Well, we gotta walk to the car.
It takes 15 minutes. I don't know if they're gonna be.
This area is all art, pure art, like throughout. Arts throughout. I wish I can take you straight to the slavery part, because that's where, you know, a lot of the information that a lot of you do not know, that's where it's actually at. But I can't do that because they don't really have service down there, and right now it's actually crowded. You know, that whole area is crowded. From the bravery of Harriet Tubman, who guided numerous enslaved men, women, and children to freedom in the North, to Breonna Taylor. You already know the story of Breonna Taylor, who was shot in her house, right? Recently in Texas, I think. The Negro woman. So this depiction, Elizabeth Catlett, right? She wants to depict history and strength of all kinds of black women, working women, country women, great women in the history of the United States. So this is all depictions of it. Sorry. Soweto. You already know what Soweto is. The history regarding Soweto. Okay, so I think I'm done. I'm done on this side. Okay, so
Please don't step over the back.
So I'm heading towards another floor. Let's see what we're gonna find out there. Seriously, I wish I could actually take you to the floor where my brother Kwabna, yeah. Orishas are I was earlier talking about the priest, the Orisha priest. I wasn't talking about the Orisha itself. I was talking about the Orisha priest. I wish I could take you to the portion where the slave, is 3 floors down, underground. They don't have service, so I can't really document. I can document it once I get down there. I can video some of tidbits here and there, but because I don't even have too much space on my phone, and I can show you later on and by posting it. This is the history of Muslims, African American Muslims, right? The Nation of Islam, right here. It tells you, how the religion has been transformed over the years, throughout the years. Elijah Muhammad up there. For those of you who know who he is. And also how Christianity also influenced the struggle, right? Voodoo. It's not voodoo. Again, some of you who follow me, I've posted about this over and over. It's not voodoo, it's voodoo, right? But they still keep, even at the museum, they are getting it wrong, This was a gift from Oprah Winfrey, right? She took it from somewhere in the South, here in the United States. So you see some of the shofar, right? And then so-called Holy Bible. There's nothing holy about this book. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And then you have the Quran. Then you have some depictions of, Christian religion. And the AMZ Zion Church, how it started in this country and spread all over to the world. And then here, talking about all the African Americans and the black people that fought in the various wars, right? You can see W. Du Bois' name up here. If you're in Ghana, there's a museum for him. He has a museum, W. Du Bois, this guy. Oh, you can see. Okay, so W. Du Bois right there. Yeah, there's a museum in Ghana. If you live in Ghana, just go up there. Go find out more about him. Depictions of African Americans, who fought in various wars. Independence War, Vietnam War, War on Terror, Korean War, the World War II, African Americans who fought all over the place. This is 555 Parachute Infantry Regiment. And then African American Medal of Honor. So this portion of it is all African Americans that were given medals, Let me move back so you can see. Sorry. So all these people were given medals during, but you barely hear about them, right? Again, on this side, tons of them, all giving awards, during the various wars they fought in. You barely hear about these stories, right? African American Marine Corps, 320th Barrage Balloon Battalion on D-Day during the World War. 1.2 million African Americans fought during the World War II. Alright, and then these were some of the uniforms, they used to wear, or probably still wear. So approximately 2,000 African American soldiers fought in Cuba. They fought everywhere, from the Philippines to Mexico, to black chaplains, you know,
Southern legislature.
the Seminole Indian Scouts and War. Africans fought in that too. These were some of the weapons they used.
Despite the restrictions,
Segregated military, right? African American service from the American Revolution, Civil War, all the way, helped secure them freedom and citizenship, but not equality. Still to today, we still battle with this. Everywhere you go, there's still discrimination everywhere. These were some of the artifacts.
in 1861, the issue of slavery threatened to
So from the War of 1812, right? The Seminole Wars, the Mexican-American War, our people fought in all of it. The Mexican-American War, right here, the Seminole Wars, the Black British Marines, all of it. Black Patriots, right? Boston Massacre. I've posted about the Boston Massacre before. Okay. So these were some of the scientists, black scientists, African scientists. So even in science, there's a lot of racism, and you can see right here. Tells you scientific theories of racial inferiority were well entrenched, right? They started entrenching some of this racial bullshit, even through science, telling you that, some people were better than other people and all that. Telling you that human specimens declare the inherent biological inferiority of the darker races, placing Caucasian and Western civilization above all else. And this is a scientist that proves that whole race superiority is a myth. Right here. His name is Montague Cobb. Right? He was an anthropologist, an activist. This book is from 1928. Carter G. Woodson, right? One of the greatest African Americans ever. He wrote a book about the Negro makers of history, which is right here. This is from 1936 certification from a deep school. So because of discrimination, Africans had to start their own hospitals, right, in the 1800s and 1900s. African American doctors and nurses face open discrimination. We still face them today. Everywhere in the US you go, there's still open discrimination. So it's still it's still there. It's not, and it's open. Most of it is open discrimination as well. Still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. So this was some of the schools they created for themselves. This was some of the early schools, the nurses created for themselves. And then when integration started, they didn't even want black people in the schools as well. They still don't want black people in the schools. So this whole segregation is still an issue we are dealing with today. You all know the famous Benjamin Carson. He was a secretary for HUD, during Trump era. One of the first heart surgeons in this country. A great man. I've posted about him a few times during his birthday. I've posted about him a few times. Yes, sir. And you have Mary McLeod Bethune. I've posted about her as well. Some of the great things she used to do. She was a renowned educator and reformer. I posted about her, on some of the universities she founded. you know, and the activism she brought to the civil rights era. The NAACP, another very important organization, you know, a tradition of activism. These were some students on strike in 1951 who were tired. These were some of the videos, you know, some of the things they were going through during the civil rights era. You can see you know, what he said. For 400 years, black people have suffered discrimination and all kinds of abuse, right? So they've been fighting 1951 all the way till today. Nothing has changed. Oh, and then this is I'm sure Victor, you'll be enthused with this portion. How Freemasons, you know, how they got into the whole civil rights struggle, right? Most of our so-called civil rights, you know, leaders were all Freemasons. You know, something they wouldn't tell you either. So you can see the founder of Freemason, what they call him Prince Hall, right? The founder of Black Freemasonry in the United States, right? Freemasonry actually started from ancient Egypt, which is from Africa, by the way. But here in the U.S., this man right here, up there, right up there to your left, right there, he was the one that started the Prince Hall Freemasonry, right? And he established the African Lodge, right? So they secured support from British Freemasons to establish African Lodge number 459. Don't forget this. It was chartered by the Grand Lodge of England in 1784. So for those of you who keep telling me, oh, Freemasonry, yeah, they championed the cause for black people. No. If it was chartered by the British, right, it was chartered by the Grand Lodge of England, right? They had support from the British Freemasons. You actually think they're doing it for you? No. Right? And then over 4,500 lodges worldwide are descended from this group, right? Now known as the Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. So I don't buy that whole argument, right? Because once they are Freemasons and they were from the British era, the British still run everything through the so-called Black Freemasons. So I don't buy that whole argument, right? This was some of the early Freemasons. And don't forget the women too. And they were all Christians, right? All these Freemasons were Christians. A lot of you ignorant people, religious people, don't know anything about this either. That these are all Freemasons who were Christians. So you can see these are some of their books. This is one of the chairs, the chair that Prince Hall actually used, right? So you can see right here some of the artifacts regarding it. But what should interest you most, Christians, should be this, right? This is a Freemason Bible, right? You can see right there. These are Masonic burial services. The book for their Masonic, once a Freemason dies, this is the book they use to bury the person. Right, this is the fez. The fez has more spiritual implications to it. Every part of the fez has a meaning, right? But these are stuff that they wouldn't tell you either. And this started from Africa as well. If you watch a lot of Ewe, Igbo, Yoruba, priests and older generation, they wear a lot of these fez, especially Ewes, right? They always have this fez, type of fez in Ghana, if you know, and Yoruba and Igbo from Nigeria as well. They wear this fez. But then, these Freemasons, Western Freemasons, copied all this, and then they had their own twist to it. You can see, this looks like the Gmail, right? This is the apron they wear. Gmail. If you look at Gmail, the logo of Gmail, this is exactly what it looks like. So most of you do not even understand what's going on, right? You have no idea what's going on in this world. And then the Order of the Eastern Star, which is the woman part of it, right? they are so intertwined, right, with our history as well. And then, you good? Oh. No, you good. If you want to say something, you know, you good. Oh, you're a Freemason. Oh, okay. Oh, that's why you were paying attention to what I was saying, right? Okay. Nice to meet you, sir. Same here. So, the rites and passages, right? The rites and rituals, right? If you understand the word rite, if you understand the word ritual, take a dictionary and look into it, right? It has different meanings. So they tell you there's the symbols, the rituals, you know, and it tells you all this comes from Egypt, right? Let me read the entire thing. Like other secret societies, Freemasonry is known for its elaborate system of codes, right? Symbols and rituals. FOI, you should come and listen to this, right? This is for you. And my brother Victor too will be interested in this portion, right? So for African American members, Masonic teachings that drew on the Bible, right? These Freemasons use the Bible. Christians, right? Other Masonic traditions that celebrated the knowledge of ancient civilizations, including Egypt, offered a connection to African cultural heritage and a positive black identity to counter racist views. Right? So they took all of this from Egypt. Our African ancestors taught them. Our people still have the Freemasonic knowledge. But then the Westerners, you know, changed. They added their own twist to it. You know? Again, these are all Masonic artifacts. Those of you who school here in the US, you might be familiar with all these fraternities, right? This is the Sigma Pi Phi fraternity. Oh man, it's pathetic. It's sad. My people are so lost into some of these things. They join all these fraternities and they think that they actually they belong, right? They join all this because all this whom you know starts from all these fraternities, you know, the Grand Bolet. But in actual fact, they are all Freemasons. They are all branches of Freemasons. And it's telling you here. I didn't say it. I've been telling you this, you know, but some of you do not believe me. It's here. They're telling you here in the museum, right, that they are all portions of Freemason. Like, they tell you the Brotherhood, right? Okay. So the Freemasonry was also started, the Black Freemasonry, the Prince Hall Freemasonry, was started because they wanted to belong. They wanted to have that sense of belongingness, you know, that association where they'll have that benefit, mutual benefit of helping advance the racism and the discrimination and all of that we're going through, right? Nothing, I couldn't read that, so again, these are some of the organizations, Greek letter organizations that most of you who school here in this country, you go through, right? They are fraternities and sororities. You can see right here, fraternities and sororities. So all this Alpha chapter, you know, Kappa chapter, Pi chapter, all this Beta, you know, all these chapters, right? With all these symbols and codes in there. They are all Freemasons. And they are all Christians too. Okay, so this is another one, Morgan State College. And some of the famous Freemasons here. This is the first black Supreme Court judge. I can't remember his name. I think his name should be here. Yeah. Thurgood Marshall, right? The first African American Supreme Court justice and member was an Alpha Pi Alpha fraternity member, right? He was a Freemason. Norma Elizabeth Boyd, right? Another Freemason. And then John Lewis, also a Freemason. I've posted about all three of them on my page. Especially when they're celebrating their birthdays, I usually post. Oh, so you saw me. I don't know if you heard about my interaction with the Freemason. When I was going in on the Freemason part of it, he stood right by me and was listening in, right? So after I spoke to him, he showed me his ring, his Freemason ring. I mean, I'm not scared of them. I talk about Freemasons all the time. They are all scammers, right? They are all scammers. I'm not scared of them. And he was there, and this is a Caucasian, right? He was standing right next to me when I was talking about Freemasons. I'm not scared of them. I talk about them all the time. They are scammers. They scam the public. These are all Freemasons, African American Freemasons, right? Early Freemasons that, and then St. Jude, right? The Independent Order of St. Jude. This is a Christian. These are all Christian organizations. As you can see, Madam Maggie Walker, right, with the cross. One day we'll go deeper into the cross, where the cross originated from. Why Constantine decided that he saw a cross in his dream and decided to make it the symbol of Christianity. Some of you are just lost. You don't even understand what your symbols mean, right? See the cross right there, Freemason, right? Independent Order of St. Luke. Again, the all-seeing eye. You can see right there. The Masonic handshake right there, right? It's all there. It's all there for you to see. You just have to open your eyes. So that's Madam Maggie Walker right there, right? She was one of a pioneering and charismatic figure who led the Independent Order of St. Luke to national prominence. So you can see the involvement of Freemasonry even in our national history. The fact that they were very much involved, right, in the so-called civil rights, emancipation and all of that. Most of our African American leaders, African leaders as well. Most of your presidents, right? Ghanaian presidents, Ghanaian leaders, even during the independence struggle, most of them were Freemasons. They wouldn't teach you this, in your schools, right? Now you have the great James Baldwin, right? I've posted about him several times. James Baldwin, Another Country. That's a novel from him, and he's a great activist as well. And then you have Shirley right here, another activist. And then you have the famous activist Muhammad Ali, right? Muhammad Ali, I shook up the world, making a way out of no way, right? Muhammad Ali, you already know who Muhammad Ali is, right? Muhammad Ali, whose name was Cassius Clay, right, was one of the boxing's greatest champions. But his legacy transcends the world of sport. So he wasn't just about sport. He was always criticizing, talking about racism, heightening the profile of the Nation of Islam, and raise awareness of the Vietnam War, right? So this is a call on all these so-called celebrities who are always quiet on national issues. They don't want to talk. Muhammad Ali is an example, right? He was using his prominence around the world to talk about social issues that were going on there, racial justice issues. Garrett Augustus Morgan, I've posted about him before, the one who invented the gas mask. This is the gas mask. He had other innovations as well. So he was a black man, he invented the gas mask. So that's it right here. This is his artifacts about him. I've posted it. If you go to my page and you type his name, right, Garrett Augustus Morgan, you see him right there, up there on the top left hand corner. And some of you already know what this is, right? If you live in Ghana or any part of Africa or the Caribbean, you know what this is. So African history is actually American history. See, we call it Bobo Kania and the other one, the lantern, right? You know what this is, right? Growing up, we used to have this in almost every home. So in the 1800s and 1970s, right, they were using all of this. Bobo Kania, you remember Bobo Kania, right? We're using Bobo Kania and all that. So these were some of the depictions. think I missed this part. Let me go back and then see. Let's see here. Okay, so Muhammad Ali again. This is a section for Muhammad Ali. That's him right there with the people, right? On demonstrations, right? So I'm calling on all these sports people to start talking about the crazy nonsense that's going on in Ghana. They have to, join the call, use their voice to speak like Muhammad Ali did. That's him right there in another, this time in Zaire, right, 1974, in Kinshasa, in Africa. He was there in Africa. That's him again with an ambassador from Nigeria, right? His name is Brother Rudolph. So that's Muhammad Ali with Malcolm X and a Nigerian ambassador. And if you know Muhammad Ali, his connection to Ghana is massive, and Africa in general. He was with Nkrumah many times. That's again with the famous James Brown. I feel good. The guy that sang that song, right? This was in Zaire, James Brown and Muhammad Ali in 1974. And then that's him again with Malcolm X. That's him in Zaire again, 1974, when he had that famous fight. It was a Clash in the Jungle. That was the fight that year. That's him again with the people, right? That's him on journey to Mecca, when he went to Mecca. He was a Muslim, for those of you who don't know. That's him with Mandela. That's him with, some American boxers who were at the 1960 Olympics. That's him with Martin Luther King, who was a Freemason as well. Most of you do not know that as well. That Martin Luther King was a Freemason, right? And then when he refused to go to join the U.S. Army to fight in Vietnam, he actually went about to various universities making speeches, about the reason why Africans or African Americans should not join the war, because Vietnamese were not our enemies. That was what he said during that time. This was some of his, the bag he used. This was his boxing ring, and this is a wake-up call for how do you call it? The Ghana Tourist Board as well. See, if you have Azumas, imagine you having Azuma, Ikote, DK Poison, all these great boxers, right? And you have artifacts about them, and you have a museum of boxing. Imagine the money you're going to create from just artifacts from these great boxers. But typical land of Imofia, they just do what they do, This was the gym he used to visit. That's him right there riding a bicycle with some young boys in the neighborhood, in Miami at the time. This is one of his fights. This is one of the gloves he used. This was some of the boxing equipment they were using for his fights, and the clock as well. And here, he was here, right, at press conferences, talking, speaking, right? He was a conscientious objector. Very powerful phrase right there, right? That's him in, I think it was Ivory Coast, right? Ali with refugees, with Liberian refugees on humanitarian mission in Ivory Coast. So there you have it again. Muhammad Ali is the greatest, This is the Bible, the Quran he used as a Muslim, right? The Quran he used. Okay, so let me move on. Excuse me. Move on to the next one real quick. This is Jesse Owens. if you remember, in I can't remember which year it was, but it was the Olympics when the Nazis were actually against him, and he actually made that, he and the other African American made that stand, that fist, the African fist. That's the picture right there. That's the original picture, right? Tommy Smith, John Carlos. Oh, it wasn't just Owens. It was what's his name again? Tommy Smith, John Carlos, and Australian Peter Norman staged one of the most iconic and important protests against racial discrimination. Shoeless. They weren't wearing shoes, so you can see. They weren't wearing shoes. They were shoeless, right? And dressed in black socks with a black glove in one hand, and then they made a fist. Okay, so it's a whole, and then you already know Serena Williams and Venus, her sister Venus,
Everybody want to get a picture of this lady.
up here. You see, imagine if our people had museums, sorry. This is about the Olympics, Nazi Germany, right? I already told you about Jesse Owens, right? So the road to the Olympics goes far beyond New York or Moscow, ancient Greece or Nazi Germany. The road to the Olympics leads in the end to the best within us, Jesse Owens. I told you about him earlier.
1956 Olympics.
So all these artifacts about the U.S. Olympic teams, every time they go to the Olympics, dominated by, black people. Oh yeah, that's Jesse Owens here. So that's him here. You can see. That's him here. And then, okay, so this portion is about football, American football, not soccer. We call, the whole world calls one game football, but they have a different type of football. They call it American football. And then they call the one everybody calls football soccer. So here's all about sports. I don't have time, so I just want to walk you through quickly. This is all sports. This is all about sports. Mayweather right there, Mike Tyson up there as well. Mayweather, one of the greatest. Mike Tyson as well, one of the greatest. I don't want to waste time on the sports section. That's Muhammad Ali again. Muhammad Ali. And then we saw Don King earlier on, one of the greatest boxing promoters, right? And then we saw Serena Williams and her sister as well. And then you have the great Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan right there. The great Michael Jordan. Some other great basketball players, all over the place. Sorry. Okay. So I'm just trying to find my way out of this place. Try and see if I can get to the. I'm trying to see if I can get to the museum. The section where it's all about slavery, right? Because that's the key part. It's a very important part, because our people do not know their history so much. So hopefully I'm able to make it there. But unfortunately, they don't have internet. they don't have internet. So I'm just hoping once I get there, I'll have the time and I'll be able to get something, you know. So I might probably end it here once I get into the elevator. I might end it here for now, and then once I go downstairs to the slavery portion of it, it's 3 floors. Tons of information, you know, regarding the slavery part of it. Hopefully I'll be able to get internet, and I'll be able to show you stuff. I have a few tidbits in there on my other phone, you know, but like I haven't captured it on live like this before, which is very important, you know. So I'm heading to the ground level. Is it less busy now? Yeah. Concourse, is it still the same? I still can't go in there? No? Alright, I might probably go to the 2nd floor then. Thank you. Raskotoka. Make I show my face. Okay, my face there. You see my face. You tell yourself. My face is all. Raskotoka. My face. Raskotoka. My face is all. Okay, so this section is there's not too much like information here for us to learn about, you know. It's basic stuff. Here is just some basic stuff, you know. This is a book on Frederick Douglass to Abraham Lincoln, right? And then these are Obama, you know, first 100 days, stickers and all that stuff. They don't have too much here. These are books from, you know, Booker T. Washington. This is from Willis Richardson, right? This plays and pageant from the life of the Negro. So this section, they don't really have that much. I'm telling you, man, Charlie, I wish you'd be here to, especially the last 3 floors, you know, where the slavery part of it is. It's crazy. The information I have down there is, but they don't have internet. They don't have Wi-Fi, so it would be difficult for me to be able to get that part of it. But at least you can see some of the stuff here. They don't have to. So here, when you click on any picture, right? Like say you click on. What the hell? So when you click on this, for example, right, it will show you what this is about. If you click on this, like end racism, right? It says Anna King, end racism. It tells you what the picture is all about. So if you click on any picture here, it tells you what the picture is about or where the picture is from. Oh, Moses, thank you. So this is from May 28, 1977, right? This is from Black Power Student Union, right? Tells you where it's coming from in the 1960s. So if you click on any picture, this guy, you already know who this is. I posted about him before, right? Gustavus Vassa, right? Or Oleno Ikwenu. Okay. So this guy used to be a slave, right? He was able to escape, and he was able to document a whole bunch of stuff that the slave went through. And so today, this is how we got to know a lot of the things that happened during slave trade. So this guy, very important guy. I've posted about him before. Right? The name they gave him was Gustavus Vassa, but his original name from Yoruba land in Nigeria was Olada Ikwenu. If you know Equino is a common name all over the west coast of Africa. So here, once you click on any picture, it tells you. For those of you who remember this bucket, right? Those of you who know this bucket, they call it 34 in Ghana, right? So this was some of the buckets they were using for laundry, right? In 1965, when Martin Luther King was doing protest. So here basically they don't have too much information. Okay, so Ras, now that you sent me, I can switch it back, right? So we focus on the information. That's more important. Okay. So this car, I don't know what the history is, but I don't know what the history regarding this car is. But once it's here, it's definitely African American related. Okay, these are some stuff here as well. Dance, where origins of dance and all of that. A few pictures here and there. And then here is all about, African American inventors, right? Those that have patents. The refrigerator, you can see right there, the one, it's not too clear, so you can't see it. But currently the one I have is a refrigerator patent, right, by a black person. Almost everything you use in your house on a daily basis was invented by a black person. They will not teach you this either, right? So you can see almost everything. I'm literally telling you, almost everything in this world that you use almost on a daily basis in your house was invented by a black person, either African American or some African somewhere, or some black person in the Caribbean or in Europe or elsewhere, right? So here you can see some of the patents. This one is by Thomas Elkins, right? He designed the refrigerator patent, evaporation system as well. It's a whole bunch. If those of you who are really serious about learning about this portion of it, you can just research. It's easy to research. Some of you, we can't tell you everything. We can't give you every information. You have to Google it, and it tells you right here, sponsored by Google.org. Just Google it, right? You find it. African American or black inventions. You see it. Egg carton, right? Nation of Islam. They created this. You see the thing you put your eggs in there, like when you go buy the egg, they have it was created by black people, right? It's a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so I think we're done on this. Unfortunately, I'm not able to go to the main floor, the floor that I wanted to go to. I wanted to show you about the slave trade, right? That it's three floors filled with information. I might try one day and come back. I don't live around here, so I used to live here, but I don't live here no more, so I'm not able to.
I might take you down there if you don't have to breathe.
Otherwise, I would have gone there and showed you but they're not allowing people to go there now. They're saying that the whole place is crowded. It's crowded, so they don't want us going down there.
3:15, we gotta be at that district.
So unfortunately, and then they're going to close in like 2 hours. At some point, because of the numbers, they shut down. Oh, focus. This be my face, my face this. I show Ras Kotoka talk the same day. I show Ras my face. My face this. So if you live here in the US, it's really nice, I have my family with me here, but they can't be on camera. Take your children, take your wives, your husbands, take your fathers, mothers, friends, take them along, show them your history. It's not what you see on. It's not just what you see in the books, especially in Ghana. It's not the only thing you see in the books. It's much bigger, much bigger than that. Way much more bigger. Way much more bigger. I'm telling you, they wouldn't allow me to go. They wouldn't allow me to go to those floors because by the time I got here, it was already packed. Those 3 floors. That's where the slavery portion that I wanted to. Oh, okay. Focus. So you're talking to Ras. Okay. I get it. But that portion, I wanted to show you the slavery part. It's crazy. Like the history down there is crazy. But they don't. First of all, they don't have internet down there. This is like the 5th time I've been in this museum. I come here almost every vacation. Every time I get a chance, I'm always here. And the 3 floors underground, I wanted to show you. There, what they have, all the 3 floors had the slavery, information on slavery, which is crazy. I have them, pictures here and there and all that, but I don't have like on live, like I've documented like this before. So unfortunately I can't go there because the place is crowded and they wouldn't allow me to go there. So unfortunately this is where I'll end it. So thank you for watching. Hopefully one of these days I'll bring you another live video of a museum that I actually went to. I might bring you a second live. There's another monument across the street I want you to look at. It's obelisk. If you know anything about the obelisk, it's very important. So peace to everybody, and have a great night, especially those in Ghana. Have a great afternoon as well. Yeah, focus. I'll be doing more lives. Like I always want to do live, but I don't have time. Sometimes I'm somewhere and I want to document the information first before I actually go live. So I'm always on the move. So that's another reason why. But I'll try. I've done a few lives so far. I've done probably like 4 or 5 lives, maybe. I think maybe 4 or 5 lives so far.
With it till I got out. I can get out with it, but.
So this is all time will permit me today. I can't go any further. So I might probably end it here. So this is like see the way this is on a Saturday. You see how people are patronizing a museum, right? My people, wake up and go to museum. Take your family, take your wives, take your husbands, and walk them into a museum and learn something new. We learn every single day. Every single day we learn something new. Okay, please. Okay, so I'll end it here. I'll end the live here. So once again, before I leave, right?
My work undressed, legs stretched
This
across
is,
piano, traded like
a very
cattle, wake
important,
like animal, left for dead, self-drive for
monument
inspiration,
here that has
and
to
love
do
with the
with
idea of living long enough to simply write about it,
it's a
pushing out
sculpture.
my body and watching my son.
For those of
slowly
you who
grow
missed
into it.
the
You said you
earlier
wanted
video, I
home.
started
Now what you
with
gonna
this,
do?
and I'm ending it with this. I just want you to understand, right? They've brainwashed you to think that the sculptures, right, are actually evil. Meanwhile, they have all these monuments all over the world, right? They're making money off it. If you go to the London Museum, they have tons of arts, right, from Africa, and they're making money off it. But then they've brainwashed you, especially because you're a Christian, to think that it's evil. You get what I'm saying? So ask yourself, if it's evil, why are they having it in the German museums, the British museums, and making money off it for about 400, 500 years, right? So you need to wake up, okay? Wake up. Knowledge is power. Again, I keep telling you, knowledge is powerful. Okay, so I'll leave you. I started with this, and I'm ending it with this. Very important, artifacts here of the Yoruba priestess, of a Yoruba priest. Focus. Oh, Charlotte, you are late. I'm ending the live now. Right there. Exactly for you. They tell you all this, but they have them all over, right? They have them all over. There were other museums that I've been to where they have similar, statues and similar sculptures all over, So, all right, my people. Peace.